Monday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of the prophet Amos. Thus says the Lord, For 3 crimes of Israel, and for 4, I will not revoke my word. Because they sell the just man for silver, and the poor man for a pair of sandals. They trample the heads of the weak into the dust of the earth, and force the lowly out of the way. Son and father go to the same prostitute, profaning my holy name. Upon garments taken in pledge they recline beside any altar, and the wine of those who have been fined they drink in the house of their God. Yet it was I who destroyed the Amorites before them, who were as tall as the cedars, and as strong as the oak trees. I destroyed their fruit above, and their roots beneath. It was I who brought you up from the land of Egypt, and who led you through the desert for 40 years, to occupy the land of the Amorites. Beware, I will crush you into the ground, as a wagon crushes when laden with sheaves. Flight shall perish from the swift, and the strong man shall not retain his strength. The warrior shall not save his life, nor the bowman stand his ground. The swift of foot shall not escape, nor the horseman save his life. And the most stout-hearted of warriors shall flee naked on that day, says the Lord. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, Remember this, you who never think of God. Why do you recite my statutes and profess my covenant with your mouth, though you hate discipline and cast my words behind you? Remember this, you who never think of God. When you see a thief, you keep pace with him, and with adulterers you throw in your lot. To your mouth you give free rein for evil. You harness your tongue to deceit. Remember this, you who never think of God. You sit speaking against your brother. Against your mother's son you spread rumors. When you do these things, shall I be deaf to it? Or do you think that I am like yourself? I will correct you by drawing them up before your eyes. Remember this, you who never think of God. Consider this, you who forget God, lest I rend you and there be no one to rescue you. He that offers praise as a sacrifice glorifies me, and to him that goes the right way I will show the salvation of God. Remember this, you who never think of God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other shore. A scribe approached and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus answered him, Foxes have dens, and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. Another of his disciples said to him, Lord, let me go first and bury my father. But Jesus answered him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from Amos 2, 6-10, and 13-16. Now Amos is a prophet who comes from the southern kingdom, but he does most of his ministry preaching in the shrines of Israel. There he proclaims the sins of the rich people of Israel against the poor people. He speaks for social justice. He's a poor man, a herdsman and a dresser of sycamore trees. Now, a dresser of sycamore trees, somebody who had to climb the tree and slit open the fruit so that it would expand, otherwise it wasn't edible. It was considered the fruit of a poor person. What does he accuse the people of? He says they are accused of 3 crimes and 4. Notice 3 and 4 is 7. They've already completed the measure of their evil. They sell a man for the price of a pair of sandals. People sell themselves into slavery in order to buy food for their family. The rich people buy these people as slaves for next to nothing. Father and son go to the same prostitute, most probably a sacred prostitute, but they're degrading themselves. They recline near the altar on garments taken in pledge. When you take a poor man's cloak as a pledge to repay the loan, you're supposed to give it back to him before sunset, because that might be the only thing he has to cover himself up for the night. Instead, they use it for their comfort. They drink the wine with which they've been fined. That if you did an act of ritual impurity, the priest might fine you several gallons of wine. Then they pay the wine to the priest and they all get drunk. That they're living a life which is just filled with evil, both at a horizontal level, which Amos especially notes, but even at a vertical level, because the worship of the people of Israel is empty. It doesn't impact their life at all. In fact, it impacts it in a negative way, because they feel that since they're rich, they're being blessed by God. Therefore, God must approve of everything they're doing. The Gospel is from Matthew 8:18 to 22. A scribe wants to follow Jesus and says, I'll follow you wherever. What does Jesus say? Foxes have their dens, birds of the air have their nests. The Son of Man has no place to lay his head. That following Jesus is not an arriving, it's a journey. That's true for the disciples who follow Jesus physically, but also true for us, that our faith is a journey, not an arriving. And so we should be ready to continue on that journey, that we have to continue in our spiritual investigation and our spiritual journey, discovering more and more layers of the truth of our faith and also the truth of our own person, our own motivations. Another disciple says, let me first go and bury my father. Now, most probably that doesn't refer to the burial that occurs within 24 hours of the death. Rather, it refers to the burial that occurs about a year later. The body would be laid out in an outer room in the tomb, left to decompose. When it had, the eldest son would gather the bones and put them into an urn or to a sarcophagus. So the man is asking for quite a long time. What did Jesus say? Let the dead bury the dead. Follow me, that is your responsibility. The other things are secondary. Now, what does that mean in terms of our family, in terms of our job? We have to remember these are Jewish sayings that are always a bit exaggerated, but at the same time there's a truth here, that Christ has to be the center of everything we are and everything we do. And at times that means that we have to sacrifice certain things we like to do or think we should do for the sake of the kingdom. And may God bless us.